Gabor.
And I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Let's bring you the headlines for the next 1 hour.
News360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Office of the Special Prosecutor re-enters former Finance Minister Ofori-Atta as a wanted person and issues Interpol red alert to him.
NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Enchibo-Esiako expected to meet bail bond this week as party withdraws application seeking to vary bail conditions.
Ministry of Health takes measures to ensure healthcare delivery is not disrupted as nurses begin strike.
Coming up in business news, fuel prices drop for the 7th time in a row, but consumer groups say reductions still fall short as CD strengthens further.
And on the international front, Microsoft founder Bill Gates says most of his $200 billion fortune will be spent on improving health and education in Africa over the next 20 years. We have details of all these stories and more. Be part of the show. Let's hear what you make of the many stories we have for you tonight.
The news now in detail, and the former Finance Minister Ofori-Atta is a wanted man again. This is after his failure to attend an invitation by the Office of the Special Prosecutor to answer questions in some 5 corruption-related matters. The OSP says it is taking all actions to have the once powerful minister return to the jurisdiction.
Many are those who anticipated the response of the Special Prosecutor Asiedu-Dartey to details by lawyers of former Finance Minister Ofori-Atta that he could not make himself available to investigators from the OSP who have been awaiting him since February of this year to answer questions in some 5 corruption-related matters. In some dramatic fashion, the Special Prosecutor, who detailed the trajectory of events involving his office and the former Finance Minister and his lawyers, would declare him a wanted man again. Only this time with extra steps to have him return to the state.
The OSP redeclares that Mr. Ofori-Atta is a wanted person and a fugitive from justice. His name is hereby re-entered on the OSP's list of wanted persons. The OSP will take all necessary legal steps to secure Mr. Ofori-Atta's return to the jurisdiction and to answer to the criminal inquiries against him. In pursuance of this, about 30 minutes before this briefing, I triggered processes for the issuance of an Interpol red notice for the location and provisional arrest of Mr. Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta in whichever jurisdiction pending extradition or his surrender. Around the same time, I dispatched a request for extradition processes to be instituted for the provisional apprehension in any jurisdiction in which Mr. Ofori-Atta may be located or found, and his extradition to the Republic of Ghana.
For Asiedu-Dartey, the former Finance Minister has acted in bad faith up until now, one that will no longer be countenanced.
From 20 to 21 March, when he said he was going to have the possible medical intervention, surgical intervention, upon which reckoning we indulgently said, oh, take some of the days, recuperate. So he suggested he will come between 14 to 30 May. We said, oh, take a few more days, come on 2nd June. How friendly can we be beyond this? After accommodating you, you sat by for at least 67 days when you knew your condition had changed, and you never bothered to tell the OSP that there's been a fundamental change in your condition. You're acting in bad faith, utter bad faith, and for which reason we have stopped this party.
He told journalists that charges will officially be slapped on the former Finance Minister in the coming days.
OSP will prefer criminal charges in the courts against Mr. Ofori-Atta in due course, whether in absentia or otherwise. The The principle upon which we proceed is that no person, regardless of title, regardless of status, regardless of medical condition, is beyond the reach of inquiry by the OSP.
Right, so for those who may not know how we arrived at this particular position, let's take you down memory lane and start from how all of this conversation between the OSP, Office of the Special Prosecutor, and the former finance minister commenced. It started in January 2025. That was even after the current president had been sworn in. So in the latter part of January 2025, the Office of the Special Prosecutor named Ken Ofori-Atta a wanted person. In fact, he named him as a suspect and invited him to appear before the OSP by the 10th of February. And then in the latter part of January, the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta claimed that Ken was abroad and seeking medical attention. On the 5th of February, the OSP demanded a specific date that Ken Ofori-Atta will be arriving in the country and warned of taking legal action if he is not given any concrete answer. Well, the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta wrote back to the speaker, to the OSP, and indicated that he is there for specific medical conditions, but did not give a specific reason why or which kind of medical condition he was under. So there was an unaddressed doctor's notice, which was cited in March, that a surgery was going to be conducted in March, but no confirmed date of return was put on that letter from the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta. And that was on the 10th of March. Now, the 12th, let's take it back. So, on the 12th of February, the OSP declared Ken Ofori-Atta a fugitive from justice. And it was on that day that he also declared him a wanted person. Lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta appealed to the OSP and said that they still did not give a date that he will return. They just said that he was seeking medical attention and may return, but did not give a specific date. Fast forward to the March, and the OSP now declares him wanted and demands. So I beg your pardon, let me take it back. So the OSP was sued by lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta and indicated that the wanted status that he has placed on Ken Ofori-Atta was not right and that he should remove it from all their social media platforms and wherever it has been published. On the 28th, a human rights court in Accra was hearing what the lawyers had sued the OSP for in Accra, and they were asking that the court should bar or stop the OSP from future declarations of Ken Ofori-Atta as a wanted fugitive or as a wanted person. And that case has been adjourned to the 18th of June, and that is when the case will be heard properly. Again, 28th of May, with less than a week to the deadline that Ken Ofori-Atta had been given, he wrote to the OSP and said that he had a surgery that was going to happen around the 13th of June. And at this time, it was just about 5 days to the deadline that he had been given to report on the 2nd of June, which was today. They offered, that is the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta, offered to send a scan to confirm the kind of illness that Ken was suffering from, but they did not give a medical record or a formal excuse duty to the special prosecutor to be grounds enough for him to say that, all right, so based on that, we are not going to take any action. We'll just wait for Ken to return. Well, special prosecutor said that, again, no specific date was given to him as to when Ken will return. If you listen to him at the press conference, he was insistent that they needed the physical presence of Ken Ofori-Atta. So it was important for him to come in person and not a video conference. And again, so he declined that they were going to accept a video conferencing with Ken Ofori-Atta. And the OSP again rejected that matter and later said that they required his physical presence and no further delays. So, based on the fact that today being the 2nd of June, when Ken Ofori-Atta was expected to appear before the special prosecutor and he didn't, the time has elapsed and the OSP has redeclared Ken a wanted man. And these are the actions he took at the press conference. He has issued an international arrest warrant for Ken Ofori-Atta, 1, added him to the Interpol Red Notice for international cooperation, where about 168 countries are all members of Interpol. So it means that in any of these countries that Ken could be found, it's likely that he could be picked up from there and brought to Ghana. He's also requested to activate extradition with central authority, and illness is not a shield. And that's from what the OSP is saying. Illness is not a shield from accountability unless certified as incapacitated or inability to move at all. So if you go to the OSP's website or if you follow them on their social media pages, this is exactly the picture you'll see, which has Ken Ofori-Atta there with the wanted up with his full name, Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta, and that's how the special prosecutor likes to call him. And the reasons are many. We'll take you through some of them. But what's on this page says that this suspect, in this case talking about Ken Ofori-Atta, is wanted to answer charges in respect of several cases, including strategic mobilization GRA contract, termination of ECG BXC contract, National Cathedral payments, ambulance procurement contract, and tax refund account utilization. And there's a phone number, or some phone numbers have been provided there, so that in case you probably are out on the street somewhere around the world and you get to see Ken Ofori-Atta, you can call that number and let them know that Ken Ofori-Atta has been cited, and then maybe the necessary actions will be taken. So that's what has happened in the last 2 hours. I should say it was around 5 p.m. that the OSP held that press conference. But let's now go to Zoom. I'm sure that we all would want to get some proper legal understanding of what has happened. Martin Kpebu is a private legal practitioner, has joined us via Zoom. Mr. Kpebu, good evening. Thank you for your time.
Yes.
I'm sure,
good evening, name.
Yes.
Good evening.
I'm sure you followed the press conference of the special prosecutor. Were you surprised that he redeclared or reissued Ken Ofori-Atta as a wanted person, and that a red notice, Interpol red notice, has now been also slapped on him?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because, as you rightly put it, the lawyers haven't given enough medical details. You see, the OSP knows confidentiality. Asiedu-Dartey is a lawyer. So if you can't trust law enforcement agency with medical records, then I don't know who again you can trust. I don't remember the last time OSP leaked anybody's medical records. So I expected Frank Davis and the rest of the defense team to have done a thorough job, giving him a full dossier. That's giving OSP a full dossier to show the nitty-gritties of the ailment. Because Asiedu-Dartey is human. If you give him the right evidence, I expect he will also give you the right kind of feedback, the right kind of decision. That's to grant an extension or something like that. So for me, to the extent that the defense that is led by Frank Davis haven't given OSP all the evidence that would be required to get an extension, you can't blame the OSP for declaring Ofori-Atta a wanted person. And let's put this in perspective. Remember that the first time he was declared wanted, I said I didn't agree with the OSP. But this time I've shifted. Note the difference between the first one and this one. For the first one, when Ken Ofori-Atta was leaving this country, he informed Mr. Julius Debra, that is the chief of staff. So chief of staff knew he was traveling, and it was chief of staff who didn't share the information with law enforcement agencies, especially as we all knew that Ofori-Atta was public enemy number one. Ofori-Atta is the first person that you have MPs, the whole of the majority in his own party, revolt against him that he should be removed, etc. So for me, to the extent that it was clear that Ofori-Atta would be needed to answer a lot of questions, and yet the office of the chief of staff did not relay this information out well enough for certain measures to be taken before Ofori-Atta left, I didn't support the OSP on the first one. But this one, you see that Mr. Ofori-Atta had negotiated how many months? March, so April, May, so about 3 months ahead. He had fully negotiated and he had 3 months to show up. So if you have all this time and you don't show up and you don't give very cogent reasons, We cannot blame Mr. Jabin for this decision.
What would your definition of cogent be? Because per the correspondence that the OSP talked about, he's been told that Ken Ofori-Atta is unwell. In fact, today at the press conference, he himself used the word that Ken, according to his lawyers, has cancer. So based on that, he would need some medical attention, for which reason he wouldn't be available in the country. Is that not grounds enough to want to say, okay, take some time off to make sure you are well and healed so we can come for us to undertake the investigation?
No, I don't think so, because the same Mr. Jabin also said, do you know how many people are walking around with cancer? You see, when you say cancer, it has various stages, and even there are different types. Is it benign or the aggressive type, etc.? I'm not a doctor, but at least from the little that we read, cancer has different types, and there are different stages. You know how many people are walking around with cancer and managing it? That's why I said the lawyers for Ofori-Atta should have given a full dossier, knowing that OSP will have to do confidentiality. They can't put it out there. You remember, let me bring you one example to show confidentiality. When lawyers wanted a lot of the stuff that Cicely Adapa gave OSP in the pending Patience Butcher case, OSP fought it in court that no, they have confidentiality agreement with the FBI. They couldn't release all of the documents, etc. Finally, Justice Marie-Louise Simon had to order. OSP had lost that application, so the judge had to order that give it out. So the point I'm making is that OSP knows confidentiality very well. You know, Mr. Ajabin generally is a smart lawyer. Of course, there are times I've disagreed with him, right? So I think that is the lawyers who didn't do a good job. They didn't give enough information to be able to get an extension.
Counsel, finally and briefly, so what would your expectation be? And I'm sure this is by extension the expectation of many Ghanaians. Is it that, for instance, Ken Ofori-Atta will be cited somewhere in the US where we were told he was seeking medical attention and bundled up and brought straight to Ghana? Is that what you anticipate could happen?
No, it's going to be, until something changes, it's going to be a long drawn battle. Because from the way he's behaving, you say, I have to use his current posturing, his current legal steps to analyze, not what I feel in my heart. So if you look at the way from day one, the lawyers have always been trying to speak for him. They would ask for extension, etc. If you look at the profile so far, it means that even if he was arrested, it doesn't mean the next day he will be on the next flight to Ghana. When it comes to extradition, you can fight it for years. You remember the famous example of Julian Assange?
Yes.
He was in the UK for years. I think in all it took not less than 5 years. My mind is saying at least 7 years. But it could not have been less than 5 years. That's the WikiLeaks there's a guy, right? Yeah, so it takes years. But Martin, one thing I need the OSP to address is that, you see, the law makes provision for the video conferencing. So he should explain to Ghanaians why he doesn't want to use the video conferencing. Don't just say, I insist he must come. I insist he must come. If I wanted to do video conferencing as allowed under the Mutual Legal Assistance Act, etc., I would have done so. He should articulate the reason so that we will understand. You know, we are outsiders. We will read the law and say, but OSP, there's this law that allows video conferencing. Of course, it will take some steps, see the US government, etc. It should tell us, is it that it's too long? Is it too expensive? I can't, don't let me, I won't suggest answers, but it should explain.
Thank you, Counsel, for your time as always. And certainly it's a fluid issue. We'll definitely update our viewers as it plays out. Martin Kpebu is a private legal practitioner.
Meanwhile, the OSP says it has uncovered a 280 million cedi corruption scandal at the National Petroleum Authority. The prosecutor says it will soon file criminal charges against the first batch of perpetrators.
The OSP investigation has revealed that between 2022 and 2024, some high-ranking officials of NPA devised and implemented a corrupt scheme of using public office for profit through threats, intimidation, coercion, suggestions, bribery, and inordinate regulatory duress to obtain for their personal benefit. As at the close of business on 30 May 2025, the OSP had uncovered, through tracing and trailing, an amount of 280,516,127 cedis and 19 pesos, being proceeds of the corrupt scheme, some of which has been used by the perpetrators to acquire identified and traced apartments, suites, houses in country and abroad, 22 fuel haulage trucks, and the incorporation, acquisition, and operation of oil marketing companies to compete with the oil marketing companies they were regulating. The OSP, before the end of June, would file criminal charges against the first batch of the perpetrators and complicit oil marketing companies and their officials. Upon filing, we will brief you in detail in respect of who did what, who acquired what, and what has been recovered.
And staying on matters that have dominated media conversations in the last few days, now lawyers of the New Patriotic Party's Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Ntwibo-Esiako, many of you know him as Chairman Wontumi. Now his lawyers have filed a motion to discontinue an earlier application seeking to vary the bail conditions set by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO. Lead counsel Gary Nimakumafo on Monday, June 2, filed a notice to EOCO and the Attorney General to withdraw the application, which had been scheduled to be heard on Tuesday. Wontumi, who was arrested on the 27th of May by the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service and subsequently transferred to EOCO, got his lawyers to file a motion at the High Court in Accra seeking a review of the 50 million cedi bail requirement and its accompanying conditions. Though he was granted bail with two sureties to be justified on Wednesday, the 28th of May, his lawyers maintained that the conditions were excessive and an attempt to punish their client. So on the back of this, we are told that all those conditions have been met, and if everything stays according to plan, Chairman Wontumi may, by middle of this week or by end of week, be released on bail.
In more news tonight, jurors in the country have laid down their tools to protest the non-payment of allowances. They noted that after their strike action last year, a portion of their arrears was paid. However, arrears from October to date remain unpaid by government. A report by Lord Udoasari.
The disgruntled jurors have said that despite several engagements and formally notifying the acting Chief Justice of the intended suspension of services on Monday, they have not received any concrete assurance regarding when the arrears will be settled. The negotiations, which started in October 2024, led to some payments with the promise to clear the remainder of the arrears. However, 8 months on, no payments have been made. A spokesperson of the jurors in Accra, Justice Opoku, indicated that they are subjected to several dangers.
There was this high-profile case that we did, and people were chasing us here and there, and at the end of the day, I had to relocate. Meanwhile, we are not taking any risk allowance. Do you understand? So, this is an extra work that we do for the government, and the money is just a peanut thing. They cannot tell us that they cannot pay this amount of money.
He averred that there will be no end in sight of their suspension of services until their monies are paid.
At the end of the month, nobody is taking more than 2,500. We started the strike today. We haven't heard from anybody. So until we hear from them, I cannot tell when we are going back to the office.
Complainants seeking justice for their families in murder cases will bear the brunt of the situation, as all cases requiring jurors will be suspended. Cases that will be affected include the Abesim murder trial, JB Dankwa retrial, Gregory Afoko retrial, among others. Lord Udoasari, TV3 News, Accra.
In more news tonight, the Ministry of Health has reiterated its appeal to the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association to rescind its decision to proceed on the industrial action to minimize the effect of the strike started by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association on Monday. The ministry has directed all heads of the various units to ensure that continuous healthcare services, including maternity and emergency care are available.
Over 128,000 nurses and midwives across the country have begun a roadmap to withdraw their services from Monday, June 2, following their disappointment with the government's delay in implementing the assigned conditions of service. The decision has created widespread concern, particularly within the health sector, where disruptions could have serious consequences. The Minister for Labour, Employment and Jobs, as well as the Health Minister, had urged the Nurses and Midwives Association to hold off on plans to strike and return to the negotiation table, but the nurses have declined. In a statement, all facilities have been directed to set up coordinating structures to manage emergencies and to ensure continuous linkage with the ambulance services, while the security agencies should provide security for the other groups of nurses who have promised to provide continuous services to patients.
The Honorable Minister for Health is saying that I cannot sign a document I wasn't part of. I don't know the content. Our mandate is to provide quality health care to the people of this country. What do? We have to go to the aid of the patients. For these reasons, what we have done is to lay down some directive for various managers to undertake. We know that out of the 5 groupings, we only have 1 nursing group going on this industrial action. We want the police to protect the others, because we've been told that they have formed a task force to visit hospitals and attack those who are ready to provide health care.
The ministry spokesperson Tony Goodman further noted that the ministry will continuously monitor the situation and ensure that all logistics needed are provided to mitigate the effects of the action, commending the nurses and midwives who have chosen not to engage in the industrial action.
We will scale up our strategy with the aim of making sure that no life is lost whilst we are having this negotiation. Don't also forget that they are providing essential service, and the law stipulates that you are not supposed to go on strike. We have taken cognizance of all of this, and we are making sure that our nurses abide by law. If they decide to do otherwise, we may have to also look at the various rights and obligations in the law and then apply them.
President John Mahama has expressed confidence in the Asantehene Otumfuose II in his mediation efforts at ending the long-standing Bawku conflict. Speaking during a courtesy call on the president by chiefs and elders of the Ashanti Kingdom, the president is hopeful the conflict will see a resolution soon for lasting peace to return to Bawku.
Reverend Osu Mafo, Black Star Experience.
Among your greatest national contributions is your successful mediation of the long-standing Dagbon chieftaincy crisis. Through your steady hand and moral authority as chair of the Committee of Eminent Chiefs, you led Dagbon from years of painful division into an era of reconciliation and renewed leadership. Today, the Kingdom of Dagbon stands united and strong, thanks to your tireless commitment and your unifying spirit. Once again, at a critical time of our nation's history, you've stepped forward to assist our nation in another moment of great need. Your Majesty's ongoing efforts to mediate the Bawku conflict, though complex and challenging, offer our country a renewed sense of hope. Through quiet diplomacy and cultural sensitivity and unwavering resolve, you are helping to pave the way towards enduring peace in one of the most fragile areas of our republic.
A new report by Action Aid has revealed a growing crisis in Ghana's public sector, where several budget cuts are placing unprecedented strains on education and health services, leaving workers overwhelmed. The report highlights the toll of austerity measures across sister African countries, with data from Ghana painting a bleak picture. Overstretched teachers, unpaid health workers, rising user costs and crumbling service infrastructure are among the number of issues that were raised in the report, the cuts have put immense pressure on education and healthcare systems, resulting in overwhelmed workers and deprived residents. According to ActionAid report, public schools have seen a 30% surge in enrollment over the past 3 to 5 years, leading to overcrowded classrooms. 48% of teachers are shouldering increased workloads, citing deteriorating working conditions and a lack of classroom resources. In the healthcare sector, nurses are struggling to make ends meet with wages insufficient to cover basic necessities like food. Alarmingly, 90% of Ghanaian workers are experiencing severe stress due to financial pressures and high workloads. ActionAid Ghana is calling on the government to reverse the budget cuts in education and health, ensuring fair and livable wages for workers in these critical sectors. And I'm sure this is a call many Ghanaian workers will applaud and hope that some action be taken on that.
Exactly. Yeah. You're watching News 360 live from the News Hub here at Desa Wikanda. We have business news coming up shortly. Do stay with us.
This segment is brought to you by MTN. Touch concentrated perfume.
Time now for business. Michael Ogodo is with us. Hello, Michael.
Hi.
Good news for transport operators?
Yeah, fuel prices down again, 7th consecutive time. However, COPEC believes this particular one should have dropped further.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
The details now. Hello there. Good evening and welcome to the business segment here on News360. I am Michael Obodu. Now, for the 7th consecutive time, fuel prices at the pumps have reduced nationwide, offering some relief to motorists and businesses. However, fresh concerns are emerging from consumer advocacy groups, including the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, over what they describe as insufficient price cuts, especially in light of the cedi's continued appreciation against the dollar.
A litre of petrol at 11 cedis 77 pesos, down from 12 cedis 99 pesos. Diesel has also dropped by over a cedi, now going for 12 cedis 49 pesos. Gold has also slashed petrol to 12 cedis 52 pesos, while Allied is selling at 12 cedis 15 pesos. The Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies says the reductions are largely due to the cedi's significant appreciation, gaining more than 13 cedis in just 2 weeks, from 13 cedis 99 to 12 cedis 15 pesos to the dollar. But consumer advocates say the drop isn't enough. Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amoah, believes OMCs are not passing on the full benefits of the cedi's strength.
Unfortunately, it is woefully inadequate. If you look at some of the major oil marketing companies, I say this on the back of the fact that we knew this was going to go down. We expected it to go down by a certain margin. Unfortunately, what we are getting is some appeasement, one that suggests we will give you some reduction, but you won't get what you deserve.
With crude oil prices inching up globally, but the cedi showing resilience, many are watching closely to see whether OMCs will offer deeper cuts in the coming pricing window.
The path to sustainable gold mining in Ghana hinges on strong organization and regulation. Speaking to 3 Business Managing Director and CEO of Indian Gold Metaverse, Lamont Rutten, emphasized that a central authority like the newly established Ghana Gold Board is crucial for transitioning the industry from problematic practices to a more responsible and beneficial system.
The commodities experts stress that sustainable mining practices are not merely desirable but necessary for the long-term prosperity of Ghana's gold sector.
Going sustainable is a win-win. You can actually generate more value for the country and less damage to the people by moving to renewable mining practices. However, that requires organization. It doesn't happen automatically. If you want, it's a prisoner's dilemma type issue, where you need something like a central authority, like the Gold Boards.
While acknowledging that Gold Board's operation will undoubtedly face challenges, Lamont Rutten noted that the new institution must prove its efficacy and ensure the system works.
Well, they have to prove themselves, really. They have an enormous potential. But they have to keep up their work. This is not something that is... You can't change existing practices overnight. Communities need to be educated. They need to develop trust. I mean, at the end of the day, a big problem in better organizing the gold sector is how do you develop trust in new systems?
The University of Gold Coast has formally installed its first chancellor in an investiture ceremony attended by church leaders, academics, and professionals from various fields. The event marked a significant milestone in the university's development as it continues its mission to nurture and equip future leaders.
I decided to create a business school that will create job creators. And that is why we started Accra Business School.
Dr. Bishop Gideon Titiofe has long served as a testament to determination and vision, inspiring many through his commitment to leadership education and spiritual empowerment. A unifier and role model, he successfully transformed Accra Business School into a fully fledged university, the University of Gold Coast, after it received a presidential charter. In his address, Dr. Titiofe reaffirmed his dedication to creating opportunities for young leaders in an ever-changing educational and political landscape.
I was born in Ghana, but I was called to the nations. I have built churches. Now I build leaders. And for as long as I breathe, I will give my breath to raising others. Because leadership is not how high you rise, but how many you raise.
The day was blessed by Archbishop Duncan Williams, who offered prayers and pronounced blessings upon Dr. Titiofe's new role as Chancellor of the university.
Utan kasaland wahasalun ikadun dakasalia amahalundu kuwasala. We call for angelic assistance and we call for angelic reinforcements, that you be surrounded with the wall of fire and with prayer shields. You will not stumble. You will not err. You will not be implicated in the discharge of your duty.
The chairman of the governing council of the University of Gold Coast, Professor P.K. Richardson, assured the university will continue to bridge the gap between academia and industry.
Education is supposed to give us knowledge to be able to impact society, not sit somewhere else. And that's why we want to make sure that our students have internships with companies. We make sure that we bring company executives to also talk to the students. In other words, we want to bridge the gap.
The University of Gold Coast continues to offer postgraduate programs, including master's degrees with flexible monthly payment plans designed to accommodate working professionals and broaden access to higher education.
We'll bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market. Here on News 360, I am Michael Obodu. Up next, the sports.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Billy Shen. Now, Egyptian side Pyramids FC lifted their first ever CAF Champions League trophy on Sunday after a 3-2 aggregate victory over Mamelodi Sundowns. This win signaled a continued dominance of Egyptian teams in CAF's Premier Club competition. There's more in this report.
When the final whistle blew on Sunday, Pyramids knew they had reached the pinnacle of African football in a remarkably short time. The club went by the name Al Asyuti Sports when they were formed 17 years ago.
Golf Club played host to the inaugural Johnny Walker Annual Ghana Golf Championship. This two-day extravaganza brought together elite golfers showcasing their skills and competing for the top prize.
The Johnny Walker Championship, which took place on Friday and Saturday, saw golfers battle it out on the challenging golf course. The competition was fierce, but in the end, Philip Ayisi emerged victorious.
It feels good, it feels great. I've been playing golf for just 3 years, so it's amazing to be a single handicapper within 3 years. And it feels even better to win a tournament like this. A lot of training, commitment, dedication. You see, golf is a game that needs attention. You cannot just divide your attention and say you want to play good golf. You need to dedicate your time, and that's what I did.
In the women's division, Coach Longman claimed 2 awards, second in the Category B women's division and nearest to the pink women's division. Marketing Director of Guinness Ghana, Estela Mozito, revealed that this competition has come to stay.
It's going to be an annual event that will be happening this time of the year. And, I think what's also good is we've had a lot of consultation with the Ghana Golf Association to come up with this, to say, what is it we can do? Where else is it? The important thing is really to make our golf calendar in Ghana exciting and vibrant year-round, so that we don't have periods of dips and all that. So it will be an annual event. The form of it might evolve over time because, usually if you have maybe a pro-am pad, you might end up doing a 3-day, and maybe you do one of it, 1 day for the pros, and then you go into this, depending on the number of people who are going to play. So those kind of things can evolve over time. Also, when we start doing rotational to different, some of those things will change, but we are very serious about making this an annual event.
The Johnny Walker Annual Ghana Golf Championship has set a new standard in Ghana's golfing calendar.
That's it for the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Billy Shen. There's more on the bulletin after this break.
Michelle.
360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, winner of Ghana's Most Beautiful 2024, an emerging environmental advocate, Queen Nihat Titiaka Oasis Ibrahim, has led her team from Eco Green Oasis Legacy on a strategic visit to the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Honorable Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. Now, the purpose of the meeting was to explore sustainable partnerships to advance grassroots climate action initiatives. Now, let's take you through some interesting events happening in the world of arts and entertainment.
Ghanaian music sensation Black Sherif has once again proven his star power as his track Sin City from the Iron Boy album lands a coveted spot on Rolling Stone's Best Afropop Songs Albums of 2025 list. Known for his raw storytelling and genre-blending sound, Black Sherif continues to push boundaries, earning international acclaim and solidifying his place as one of Africa's most influential contemporary artists. Fans are buzzing with excitement, with many joking that he must have signed a secret deal with greatness. Sin City showcases Black Sherif's signature fusion of high life, drill and Afrobeats wrapped in emotionally charged lyrics that resonate deeply with listeners. Ghanaian singer and socialite Mona Faiz Montrage, popularly known as Haja For Real, has marked her return to the public eye with a new single titled Remove. The release comes shortly after her return to Ghana following a 1-year prison sentence in the United States. The music video shared across her social media platforms opens with the striking scene of Haja For Real in a prison cell, an apparent nod to her recent legal challenges. This powerful imagery sets the tone for a message of resilience and renewal. This release not only signals her musical comeback, but also underscores a narrative of growth, strength, and forward momentum.
Well, for lovers of PM Extra, before I go, I'd like to remind you that Big Mama has a double surprise for the housemates. So don't forget to keep voting for your favorite and stay tuned for that surprise at 8 p.m. sharp. My name is Noella Donko. Do enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you so much, Noella. Coming up, international news.
Founder Bill Gates says that most of his $200 billion fortune will be spent on improving health and education services in Africa over the next 20 years. The 69-year-old said that by unleashing human potential through health and education, every country in Africa should be on a path to prosperity. Speaking in Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa, he also urged Africa's young innovators to think about how to build artificial intelligence AI to improve healthcare on the continent. Gates announced last month that he would give away 99% of his vast fortune by 2045, by when his foundation planned to end its operations.
That's our package for this evening. Meanwhile, Ghana Tonight at 10 p.m. will bring you details of the big stories we've brought to you this evening. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I am Portia Gabor. Good evening.